Hey, what's going on? Listen, in this video, I want to talk to you about two things, just two things, that will completely transform your outlook on life. Now, is it only two things that will completely transform your outlook? No. Is it only two things that will transform your whole life? No. But these two things are extremely impactful in your day-to-day, when you wake up, and how you execute your vision and the life that you want, how to get that life that you want, right? So before I start, I just want to tell you that, I apologize for this, I'm just kind of walking here, there's gonna be some noise right here. So basically, if you can relate to this story, then I'm doing good, okay? This is what I want to say. So basically, if you've ever been, here, let me do this. Have you ever been in a supermarket, you just got about maybe $25 to $30 worth of groceries, and it's on a Thursday maybe, and you get to the cash register, you get to checkout, you put it up on the belt, and the woman is about to cash you out, right? You check everything, it's $30, the total's like 25, 30 bucks, right? Boom. You know that you get paid tomorrow, and you can afford the groceries today because you get paid tomorrow, right? So you know you have like 30 bucks in your account or $35 in your account, right? So you have $35 in your account, the total comes to $30. You check out, you swipe your card, and she says, it's insufficient funds. You're like, what? I know I got 35 bucks in there. She's like, yeah, it's insufficient funds. Now, in your mind, you should have $5 left over, right? Because it was $30 and you had 35 in your account. Little did you know that Netflix, as soon as you check your phone, you freak out, you're like, you're doing this, you pop up the phone, you look at your bank app, and you're like, oh, Netflix took out their $10, Hulu took out their 11 or 12 now, whatever it is, right? Whatever they are, 10 or 11 bucks. At the time of this story, it was $10 for me. So, and then you have a line, you have a bunch of bags now full of groceries that you can't even take home because you can't afford to pay for them. If that's ever happened to you, that's happened to me as well, okay? Now, that no longer happens to me anymore, and that's why I wanted to make this video, because for the first time the other day, I was actually in a place, I'm just gonna switch hands here, or switch position rather. For the first time the other day, I was in a place where I could just go to the grocery store and buy groceries, okay? Now, I know this sounds ridiculous. Everybody else is out there being like, oh, I make like 10 grand a day, $1 million a day, and whatever, right? But nobody tells you this part here, all right? Nobody tells you this part here where, you know, before they were making $1 million a day, where were they, right? How much were they actually making a day? Was it monthly? This kind of thing, right? Everybody's talking about money. Everybody's talking about money. Nobody's talking about the mindset that takes to get there, and what I've had to go through just to afford groceries, okay? So if you know what I mean, this is like, when you can't afford, when you have $35 in your bank account and you go to the grocery store and you get rejected and insufficient funds, like, that's embarrassing for me, right? That sucks. So in order to get around that, I've had to kind of change my way of thinking and be like, okay, well, being broke sucks, right? Being broke is horrible. So how do I fix this, right? I could just complain about it and be like, oh, the rich are getting richer and the poor are just stuck here. We're just getting poorer, right? Or, and this is number one here, okay? I could start asking questions to the people that are where I'd like to be financially, or just if they have like a balanced lifestyle, that kind of thing. Like, I would start asking those people questions, right? So there was two options, and I came to a split in the road, and I said, I'm out of breath here just walking, this is ridiculous. So I came to a split in the road, and I said, okay, I could either just complain about this like everybody else I know is doing, right? Everybody I know, oh, you know, complaining about this and the taxes and the you know, the market crash and whatever, Bitcoin and all this stuff, like, oh, just lucky. And, you know, I could be one of the people that's like, well, if I win the lottery, then, you know, I'm gonna give back to my family. Like, if I win the lottery, after I pay 30% of my winnings, I'm just gonna give back. And like that right there, you gotta change your way of thinking. This is one, change your way of thinking and ask different questions, okay? I know that's probably two different things right there, right? So this is what you gotta do. You gotta change your way of thinking and ask different questions. You've got to start asking the right questions that are actually going to lead to change. If you keep asking the same questions over and over and over again, if you keep coming up with the same excuses over and over and over again, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change because it's the same. You're not putting anything different into that equation, okay? It's almost like 2 plus 2 is 4 every single time until you do 2 plus 3. 2 plus 2 is 4 every day, forever, okay? Until you switch a symbol in there. Maybe it's 2 minus 2, 0. 2 times 2, 4. Even when you switch a symbol in there, sometimes it's the same thing, okay? So that's crazy. That just blew my mind, actually. So anyways, change your way of thinking and change the questions that you ask, okay? So for an example, and I've done this, okay? I'm gonna tell you what questions I started asking. So I used to live in Brooklyn for a little bit. I'm from Charlton, Massachusetts, moved to Brooklyn for acting and modeling back in the day because I just wanted to be famous, right? And this is bringing me to my second point. I just wanted to be famous, like all these goals. My goal was fame and money. Fame and money. Fame for what? Didn't matter. Like, seriously, fame for what? I had no idea. I just wanted to maybe be famous for being sexy or something, right? So I had a bunch of modeling photos, and that was like the thing. I'm getting into traffic with people over here, so I'm gonna turn around. That was the thing, right? Fame. And then I moved to New York for acting as well. Maybe I was like, I just wanted to be up on a billboard. Like, that's just vanity, right? I just wanted to be up on a billboard, always in the gym, just like focused on my abs. I had literally, I think it was 7, it was almost 6.9% body fat, and then it was 7, right? And I was about 145 pounds. I'm going back a little ways here, but I was about 145 pounds. And I kept getting told that I had to put on weight. So in my mind, I just had to be shredded in order to be a model, right? I was getting told all kinds of things, just like, it was just anything I was told I would listen to and just do because I just wanted to be famous, right? It didn't matter. I was doing nude shoots, okay? No joke. No, you wouldn't tell now, okay? But I was doing nude shoots and stuff. Like, this is crazy to me what I was doing for a fake, meaningless, pointless goal that I had set for myself. I just wanted to be a model up on a billboard, right? So when I moved to New York, it kind of put me in check, right? Because everybody in New York is foreign. Nobody's like there, born there and stuff, you know, everybody's foreign. So there was guys, now I'm like 5'8", so I should have never been modeling to begin with, right? That was already the wrong thing for me. There was these guys that were like 6'4", gorgeous dudes, right? I know that sounds ridiculous, but literally straight out of like Italy, you know, straight out of the magazines. And I was standing next to them at casting calls. You know, we were all in our underwear just being casted, just looked at like, oh, you all want fame, don't you? It was just such a weird thing, okay? I had no intention of talking about this on this video, but just the wrong goal to have, okay? So it made me realize that, oh shit, these guys actually have a realistic goal. They could be in that magazine because they're 6-something. And every single one of these designers designs clothes for their height. They don't design clothes for 5'8". Facts, okay? That's not me just like coming up with an excuse. That is a fact, and I got told that all the time. But yet somehow I was still like going after this fake ass goal, and it was just messing me up. And every day I'd think like, oh, I wish I could do better, or I wish I could, you know, lose some weight or whatever. I think I almost got down to 6.9 body fat percentage, but it was more like 7.2, I think in the end. It was fluctuating back and forth. So I was shredded. I was miserable. I was always looking in the mirror, just like, oh, just want to be better, just want to look better, blah, 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 blah. So that put me in check. The wrong goal, right? Just the wrong goal. So what I started doing was, all my friends were complaining about money. I was complaining about money. And then I started realizing that we're all focused on the wrong goals and we're not asking the right questions, okay? We're not asking the right questions. So what do I mean by that? Well, we're living in New York, we're living in Brooklyn, and we look up to Manhattan, right? From Brooklyn, you can see Manhattan. Manhattan, if you've ever seen the movie Elysium, I kind of put it in like that. So like everybody up on Elysium is just like in their own little world. Manhattan was its own little world until like just before I left. Then Brooklyn became its own little world, right? So, but basically Manhattan was its own little world, and around that same time I had to work my ass off for these companies that I had no interest in working with, but I was doing carpentry and kitchen cabinets and stuff, and I was just like hustling by myself, working for myself, going between all these shops, and people were just passing me around, and I was like just, you know, modeling and acting and auditioning and stuff while I was working with carpentry and cabinet making and all this stuff. And in doing all this, these are some lessons that I've learned. I was in some penthouses in Manhattan, and I promise you, okay, now this is what blew my mind. I promise you, some of these penthouses, the owners of the penthouses were paying $30,000 a month for rent. Rent. Couple things happened in that moment. I'll just let that sink in. $30,000 a month for rent, okay? I couldn't afford $800 at the time for rent, and I was splitting my damn rent with roommates, okay? I couldn't afford that. So that blew my mind. That literally just blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, like, I don't even know if I'm making $30,000 a year. And these people are renting, which in my mind was wasting money, right? At that time, it was wasting money. People were renting, literally spending and wasting $30,000 like it was nothing every month. And I said, oh man, I gotta start asking some different questions, because everything I learned growing up is wrong. Everything I learned growing up is just wrong now, because what does that person know that I don't know? Was it luck? Well, who in their family ended up striking luck? Know what I mean? Which member of their family? Because I could look at the guy that owns the apartment, but somehow he knew how to get $30,000 a month just for rent. So if his rent, and then I did like the I just spit. I did the equation, and I was like, oh man, dude, the ratio there, if I'm spending $800 and he's spending $30,000, like what's his overall salary? It must be millions and millions of dollars, you know what I mean? Because rent is just an expense. So $30,000 is just an expense. You know what I mean? That guy was able to go to the grocery store, and the fancy ones with organic food and stuff, not the little, you know, delis on the corner, none of that stuff. Literally the fancy ones with organic foods and stuff, and he was able to pay every single time at checkout and spend a couple $100 at checkout, and his whole apartment was full of organic foods, okay? Like the stuff with the weird labels on it, right? That is what motivated me to start thinking like, okay, I'm gonna stop doing what everybody else is doing. Literally stop doing everything that everybody else is doing. Complaining about money, talking about it weird. I'm just gonna start asking questions to people that should have answers, okay? To like these people. So I start asking around, I start looking into books about money, like how to figure it out, and you know, everybody around me, when I woke up, I was like, oh wow, this is so crazy, dude, like, I don't understand. There was some people around me that I thought knew how to manage money, but they didn't. They were just kind of like faking it type thing, right? And around that same time, I started seeing my boss, one of my bosses, he was asking he would call people up on the phone and be like, hey man, we got another deal today. Do you want to put in 50K? And they were like managing bars in Brooklyn and stuff. He's like, do you want to put in another 50K? And then by the end of the call, he would just literally, within minutes of having that phone call, he would have about $50,000 invested for the next business that they were gonna put in, right? So that was kind of crazy. So I said, okay, what does he know that I don't know? Because somebody knows something, right? And I just didn't understand. So I started asking questions, and the more questions I asked, I started Googling things, and the more times I Googled specific phrases, videos would pop up with things that were similar to my questions. And then, you know, the algorithm and everything, it basically presents you with recommended videos of things that, you know, YouTube or Google would think you're interested in, right? So if you're watching this, I asked the right questions to figure out how to get this video in front of you guys, okay? I didn't know how to do any of this before. So as these people started answering my questions in the videos, I started following the advice of some of these people that were making millions and millions of dollars, okay? For the first time, I just decided, let me stop thinking with some skepticism here, like everybody else, and actually trust the person giving me advice on the other side of that camera. Because right now, what's the worst I could do, right? What's the worst thing I could do? The worst thing I could do is stay right here and not afford groceries. That's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario is the guy that I'm listening to on the other side of that camera has some advice that I've never even heard before, and it will completely change everything. Like, it'll just completely rewire my brain, right? And that's what I was hoping for. I was kind of optimistic there, and that's what I was hoping for. So I bought some courses, and next thing you know, they just completely changed my life. And then through the courses, I started setting different goals, right? I didn't model anymore. I stopped modeling. Not stopped acting, but I just went at it differently. Everybody else was like auditioning, getting told no. I was like, I like to get told yes, so I'm just gonna go figure this out on myself. And I hate agents and managers and stuff, so I said, I can do all this myself. Let me figure out how to do this. Let me figure out how to get more people to see my content. Let me figure out how to get more people to you know, pay to watch my movies and content and stuff before I chase a dream that has, you know, an empty ending. Like, it just didn't seem like a good idea to me. So anyways, I know this video is getting kind of long, but these are 2 points here that I just wanted to talk about. I just wanted to talk about changing your decisions, setting goals. The other thing would be setting goals that actually are achievable in the long run, okay? So let's bring it full circle now. And I'll just kind of end this video here, but let's bring it full circle. Basically, what you got to do is, what changed my life is the right goals, okay? Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I started setting up goals. These people owned businesses, right? The people that were making money owned businesses. Not one, they owned businesses. They weren't working for anybody. They owned businesses, okay? Now, businesses, multiple. I didn't know how to own one at the time, so I had to figure out how to own one. Now, this is what I mean, like, my end goal wasn't, oh, how do I own 5,000 businesses? How do I own 5 businesses? That's the wrong goal to start with, okay? The right goal to start with was, how do I start one business? Who do I talk to that already owns a business that would be able to help me? Kind of like a mentor, right? So that's what I did. I started asking people who own businesses that I knew owned businesses, how did they own a business? And that would answer a question that I had. It's almost like Googling, but in real life, right? So that's what I did. I started asking these questions. Next thing I know, I own a business. The business failed, right? And nobody tells you this, how many businesses failed, right? I owned a video production company business, and I just wasn't charging enough rate. I wasn't giving it enough attention because I wasn't into it. I was just kind of providing services for people, whether it was video editing or, you know, whatever, but I wasn't confident in my skills, so my rates were really low. And because they were so low, people thought my work was crap, you know, so they just went somewhere else. And then after a while, I was like, dude, like, there's people complaining about paying me $300 for a shoot, and that's literally like $300 for the month for me. Like, that was the only thing I was doing that month. So $300 a month is not going to be able to pay the bills. So I said, I'm going to put that on hold for a bit until I start charging a much higher rate. So I have to learn more things so I can charge much higher, right? So then I started a photography company, which still also shot video, called Isaac Danna Photography. And that's my name, by the way, Isaac Danna. Isaac Danna Photography. And then I also shot video for there. So then I started doing weddings, and I was able to charge more for weddings and, you know, that kind of stuff. So there was a whole bunch of little businesses, whether it was editing video, producing web series, you know, illustration, helping with websites and stuff. Then I got into the website side of things because I had to, once I owned a business, I had to figure out how to do that, right? So you get into the website side of things. And then the website side of things really interested me, okay? I don't know why, but it really interested me. I felt like the online internet, you know, world was for me. I felt like I could help a lot of people, and I felt like I could get my eyes, the eyes that I wanted on my content, and I felt like I could get my message directly to people that wanted to hear it, okay? For instance, like, if you're still watching this video, you want to hear the message, and I can't do this with just typing a blog. Like, I can't do this with a video production company behind me. There's way too much logistics that have to happen to that to get my message across. Can I create a message in a movie like this and produce it? Absolutely. But everybody I was working with, their end game was YouTube, right? They would just produce some stuff, and everybody was focused on like content for YouTube, but nobody was producing, that was their end game. Their end game wasn't viewers for their content on YouTube. They would just complain about that instead of going out and figuring out how to get more views on their YouTube, okay? Now, whether you had to pay or not, like, you have to figure the game out. There's a game, and you have to figure it out. And once you learn the game, you can start asking the right questions. And the more you dive into something, you start asking the right questions, okay? Bringing it all back, and we'll go back to the right questions here, okay? So I started a marketing agency for contractors, because I had a contractor background, right? I have a contractor background. Finished carpentry was my trade in high school, and I graduated that contractor background. Ended up getting jobs. Finished carpentry is more like it, you know. But when I was younger, I built, you know, I used to help my buddy with his construction company. His dad owned a construction company and stuff, and so I'd go over there and we'd help them. And so I'm very versed in the contractor world, which means I know all the terms to ask in the contractor space, okay? And if I don't know any terms to ask or terms to use or the lingo or the language or whatever, you know, I'll ask different things, okay? I'll learn and I'll be like, oh, what was that? And then I'll make a note of that so I don't ever look like an idiot in that space again, right? So I started asking the right questions. If I don't understand something, I ask the right questions, okay? And I learn from asking the right questions, okay? So right now, and this might change, but right now I'm working with contractors, and not just to like generate leads, okay? I thought, oh, let me go after them and say, hey, let me offer Google Ads, okay? I didn't know how to run Google Ads. I had to figure out how to run Google Ads for companies, okay? Now I figured out how to run Google Ads. So now I'm like, oh, well, let me do all the ads for myself. Like, let me just, I'm doing ads for everybody else and just kind of selling out, right? So I went from like a 9-to-5 job to a working from home for myself, starting a marketing agency, but then I started working like 9-to-5 for my clients. And I said, oh, man, I have another 9-to-5. Like, this kind of sucks. So I had to put new goals out there. And now my goal is to kind of give back. If you're not working from home, if you're not, you know, if you don't feel free, if you're not waking up happy every day, I want to be able to give you every single tool you need in order to do that, right? I want to be able to give you the tools that I had to get me to where I'm at today, where I can afford to pay for my groceries, and I don't have to worry about it. You know what I mean? So, that being said, now I've got the right goal in mind, and that goal is to help you guys get on the same path. And it starts with like $5,000 a month. It starts with, you know, honestly, it starts with like $800 a month, okay? So it starts with like, what can you do to make some money from cards that are literally credit cards for businesses? Like, what can you do? All right, now you might be wondering where this whole video is going, but basically what I have now is I've written a book that's going through editing right now, but I have the first chapter all done. So if you want to learn how to do this for yourself, I would love to give you the first chapter for free, okay? And that's gonna be my beginning to giving back to you. I want to give that to you there. So if you sign up below, click the link here or here, wherever you are watching it on the phone or the desktop, click that link, and you're gonna go to a page and you're just gonna sign up for that, and it will automatically, you're gonna have to check your email, but it's gonna automatically it's gonna automatically send you the first chapter of my book. So if you're watching this video, it's still available. The first chapter of my book is completely free, all right? And I wrote the book trying to give back to you, so I would even love some feedback on it. But basically, more than just these 2 steps are in there, okay? I wake up every morning with like 30,000 things on my mind, and this book is kind of a collection of those things and a little bit more about how I got to thinking like that, okay? So the main thing is now, you know, I can afford groceries. So if you're thinking, oh, he's gonna pitch me something that's gonna like $1 million overnight, like, no, I don't. That's not what I'm planning on doing. I have not made $1 million yet. Will I? Well, I'm hoping one day, but that's a goal in the future. That's not a realistic goal. But realistically, right now, my goal is to, I don't want to say it, but there's a goal I have in mind for how many people I have in my world. I've created some, you know, courses on how to do this stuff as well. I've written the book, I've done the audio book. You know, there's some stuff here. I've got the podcast, I've got 2 podcasts. And so basically I just want to show you, like, if you have a message to get out to people, I know how to do that now, you know? Like, is it worth $1 million? Maybe, if the message is right, you know? But I want to give you the tools to use so you can replace your income. It's not going to happen. It literally has taken me 3 years, maybe even 4 years, to be able to go to the grocery store and not have to worry about paying when I get to the counter, okay? So this is not like an overnight thing. But anyways, what I want to do, this video is so long, I'm sorry, it's 24 minutes here. But what I want to do is I want to get you into this email list, all right? And every day I motivate people. I'll wake up and If you sign up and you get the first chapter of the book, that's my way of giving back to you. And then you might get emails every week or daily, depending on how much you want there. But I need your feedback on this as well. So there's way more tips in the book than I can say in this video. This video would be way too long. But if you want some more helpful information, if you want to learn a little bit more, if you're even curious, if you're at this point here, you're curious, you just got to sign up. All right, so sign up. And if you're not familiar with the online space, if you're not familiar with how YouTubers or makeup artists are making all this money, you know, if you're not familiar how gamers are playing Madden, or if you're not familiar with how they're making money, you know, and how they're living, and you want to ask more of those questions, feel free, okay? If you want to know more about how I'm making my money, I can walk you through it, right? I haven't designed a course on how to do this yet, but that's the plan. But I want to make sure the course is designed properly for you guys, okay? So my big sales pitch out of this whole long video that I'm paying for you to see is I just want you to get a little bit more value, and I'm going to provide you with the first chapter of my book, okay? It's PDF. It's going to be the first chapter of the ebook, basically. So that's what I got for you. If you're still watching this video, click on the link here somewhere. All right, click on the link, sign up. You're gonna hit a page. It's gonna ask for your name, your email, and then it's gonna instantly send you the first chapter of the book. Literally instantly. You just gotta go to your inbox, maybe check your spam, and if it's in your spam, drag that email into your inbox. Then it won't go to your spam anymore, okay? So that's what you gotta do. You gotta do that. And then, if you're still watching this, click, okay? I'm just walking around a park just doing this video. I'm gonna keep this running until you sign up. Sign up, okay? And I'm gonna help you. I promise you, I'm gonna help you. I promise you, I'm gonna help you. Ask me any questions you want, okay? And I will see you on the inside with more information on how to get to where you want to be in the future by setting realistic goals and asking the right questions, okay? And because I've already asked all these questions, I have a lot of answers on how to get there, okay? So I have, at least I have enough answers now to be making, let's see, right now of today, I'm making $3,700 a month with like 3 clients, okay? $37 a month for 3 clients and helping them do some stuff, you know what I mean? But before I get there, there's like before you start making money and stuff, you have to actually like change the way you think. And that's more of what my content is about. My content is more about like changing the way you think, changing the way you know, approach goals, changing the way you set goals, and changing the questions that you ask. All right, that's more of my method to get to where I'm at today. But if you want to be able to afford your groceries, sign up, click here. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon.